I've never told this story out loud before. Even now, years later, my stomach twists whenever I think about it. Maybe sharing it here will finally lift some of the weight that's been sitting on my chest. I'm an only child, always have been. I live with my mom and dad in a decently sized house. Some people might even call it big for just 3 people, but to me it always felt too much space, too many empty rooms, too many places for silence to echo. My parents always joked about how it wasn't their intention to stop at 1 kid. "We just never got around to it," they'd say with a laugh, as if life had gotten in the way and the thought of more children simply evaporated. But as the years passed, I started to realize being the only child came with its own kind of loneliness. It was on a rainy Saturday night in May that everything happened. I was 15 at the time. I can't remember the exact date. Trauma has a way of warping details, but I do know it was one of the last weekends before summer vacation. School was winding down. Freedom was around the corner. And yet that night, freedom was the last thing I felt. There's something you should know about me before I continue. I have conditions, medical ones, frequent panic attacks, a heart that races at the wrong times. I faint easily. I struggle to breathe sometimes. And, to make things worse, I need complete and total silence to fall asleep. No white noise, no humming fans, not even the sound of rain, which so many people call peaceful. For me, rain is the opposite of peaceful. It drills into my brain. Every drop against the roof is a reminder that I won't sleep. It turns the night into an endless stretch of awareness. We don't get rain often where I live, but when we do, it comes in torrents. That night was one of those nights, not a thunderstorm, but heavy. A steady downpour that soaked everything, amplified by the roof above my head. I tossed, I turned, I tried every trick I knew, holding my breath, counting backward, burying my ears under the pillow. Nothing worked. The rain was too loud. It filled the room, wormed its way into my head. I finally gave up. It must have been well after midnight when I sat up and accepted the truth. I wasn't going to sleep, not that night. So, what do you do when you're wide awake at an ungodly hour and trapped in restless silence? Me, I walked. It wasn't the first time. My parents, maybe out of desperation, had encouraged it. If you can't sleep, go walk it off in the park. It's safe here. And in our neighborhood, it really was safe. The park bordered our backyard, a massive green space filled with trees, paths, and lamps that glowed through the night. It was the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked and waved to strangers. That night, I slipped into a rain jacket, tiptoed downstairs, and stepped outside. I didn't even bother with an umbrella. The cold rain kissed my skin, soaking my hair in seconds. Oddly enough, it was refreshing. The air felt sharper, cleaner. I left my phone inside on purpose. I knew myself if I took it, I'd end up staring at the screen until dawn. No, tonight I wanted to burn energy, tire myself out, let the rain smother me until my body begged for rest. The streets were empty, the houses dark. Only the rhythmic patter of rain and the occasional rustle of wind filled the air. The lamps glowed orange in the mist, their light bending in the falling droplets, creating hazy halos in the night. It was beautiful, in a lonely way. Every step on the wet pavement echoed. Every raindrop sliding down my hood felt amplified. I wandered for about 20 minutes before fatigue began to creep into my legs. Mission accomplished, I thought. I'd head back, dry off, and maybe, just maybe, get some sleep. But that's when I saw it. At first, it didn't even register. Just a shape in the road, long, dark, motionless. I squinted, rain blurring my vision, and for a moment, I thought it was just a garbage bag, maybe something someone had dropped. But as I drew closer, my stomach dropped. It wasn't a bag. It was a person. A man, lying face down in the middle of the street. My brain scrambled for logic. An accident? A hit and run? Why else would someone just be there, unmoving, in the pouring rain? The thought made bile rise in my throat. I froze. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around, to pretend I never saw it. But another part of me, The part drilled into me by my parents pushed me forward. If someone's hurt, you help them. So, against every warning my gut sent me, I stepped off the sidewalk and approached. As I neared, I could make out more detail. He wore black pants, a dark plaid shirt, completely inappropriate for the weather. The fabric clung to him, soaked through. His hands were limp against the pavement, his hair plastered to his skull. Something was wrong, not just with the scene, but with the air itself. The rain, which had felt lukewarm before, suddenly bit into my skin like ice. My chest tightened, my breath grew shallow. That's when I heard it. A sound ripped through the park behind me, high, sharp, unnatural. A screech. Not human, but not entirely animal either. The closest thing I can compare it to is a howl, but it wasn't right. It carried a broken quality, like a wounded creature trying and failing to scream. I spun around, heart hammering. Nothing. Just trees swaying in the wind. The lamps glowed steadily, casting long, skeletal shadows across the ground. The sound had come from deeper in the park, too far to see, too far to explain. And then, I turned back. The man in the street wasn't lying down anymore. He was sitting up, perfectly upright, head tilted, staring straight at me. The world shrank. The rain faded into a muffled roar. My vision tunneled, my knees buckled. I thought I was going to faint right there. But before I could move, he stood, and then he ran, straight at me. His mouth twisted into a wide, demonic smile. His teeth gleamed in the lamplight, and in his hand, clutched tight, was a knife, a kitchen knife, the kind you'd use to carve meat. The moment froze in my memory. His soaked shirt clinging to his chest, his eyes wide and unblinking, his lips peeled back in a grin that belonged more to a nightmare than a human being. And then he screamed, "I'll kill you." My body snapped into motion. I turned and ran, feet sliding against the wet grass. My lungs burned instantly, but I didn't dare slow. Behind me, I heard him splashing through puddles, his ragged breaths cutting through the rain. Every step felt like a lifetime. Every second, I expected a hand to seize me from behind. I couldn't lead him to my house. I couldn't risk him knowing where I lived. So instead, I veered toward the trees, toward the park, toward the same darkness where that screech had come from. Branches whipped against my face as I plunged into the woods. The ground turned to mud beneath my shoes, making every stride harder. My chest screamed for air, my legs trembled, but fear shoved me forward. Don't look back. Don't look back. Don't look back. I didn't know if he was still behind me. I didn't care. The thought of stopping, even for a second, was worse than death. Finally, my body gave in. I stumbled behind a tree, clutching the bark, and nearly vomited from the exertion. The rain pounded on the leaves overhead. Shadows bent and shifted. My ears strained for footsteps, for movement, for him. But there was nothing. Minutes stretched like hours. I stayed pressed against that tree, soaked to the bone, trembling so hard my teeth chattered. At last, I forced myself to move. Slowly, cautiously, I took the long way home, weaving through the backside of the park, avoiding the road, avoiding every open stretch of space. When my house finally came into view, I nearly collapsed. I slipped inside, locked every door, and curled up on my bed, drenched and shivering. I never saw him again. I never found out who he was, or why he was there, or what he wanted other than the obvious. But one thing sticks with me. That sound. That screech in the distance. I can't shake the thought that maybe he heard it too. Maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe he was lying in the road because of it. Maybe when he looked up and saw me, something inside him snapped. I'll never know. And maybe that's the worst part. I still live in the same house today. It's been years, but every time it rains, I lie awake, listening, waiting, because deep down, I know that night wasn't just random. And if he's still out there, he's waiting too. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. But tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place that night? Let me know in the comments. And if this story kept you on edge, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more terrifying tales, and hit the bell so you never miss a night of horror.